Hello there, this is The Artistry and I am your host, Lonita Cook. This is the show where we celebrate art activism. But let's talk about purpose. Purpose is the reason for which something exists. The nature of purpose is determination and resoluteness. Today in the studio, we'll be speaking with Jefferson Donald, a creative professional working in short films, features, and commercials. Educated and graduating magna cum laude from California State University, Los Angeles, Donald earned his Bachelor of Arts in Theater. Not only is he a media artist and co-founder of Light Bearers Entertainment, a faith-based company, he is a father, husband, and friend. The focus of his life and work is mobility, creating space for the ever-changing self. We'll discuss that aspect of his journey, as well as creating purpose-driven work here on The Artistry. Thank you for staying with us at The Artistry. We are here with Jefferson Donald talking about purpose-filled filmmaking. But let's go ahead and talk about your background, where are you from?
All right. Well, I was actually born in the Midwest, moved to Arizona, spent my formative years in Arizona, and then moved out to LA for college because I wanted to get a degree out there and kind of learn filmmaking. I actually enrolled in a theater program at California State University, Los Angeles. So I got my undergraduate degree from there, and then jumped into the entertainment business because that was a passion of mine. So,
passion.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Passion is awesome. So when you were in LA, were you just looking to be a director? Are you also acting? I
started off in the theater program because I wanted to be an actor. My undergrad degree is in theater with an emphasis in acting and directing. So I wanted to be an actor, wanted to do all that, but at the same time I saw that there weren't a whole lot of opportunities and I wanted to get behind the camera. So I reached out to the media department at that particular time, and I found a professor who was really nice and really, a mentor to me, and kind of taught me television directing, 3-camera style shoot, very similar to what you have here, and just kind of branched out from there because I knew I wanted to do film eventually, and not just as an actor.
Not just as an actor. Yeah. I'm going to back up a little bit. You said that there were not a lot of opportunity. What do you mean by that? I mean, is it because LA is filled with actors upon actors, or is there a specific reason why you felt there weren't?
Right. I think both. I think LA, so it's a saturated market because it is the place for actors. That's one thing.
Right.
The second thing is there weren't a whole lot of opportunities for African American actors. So to play meaningful roles or to actually have careers. I mean, if you just look at it historically, you have 1 or 2 that are always at the top at once at any particular ethnic group.
Right.
So, and the rest, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to branch out for. So I saw that and I was like, well, rather than always wait for a call to happen, it would be good to learn some other skills. So there you go.
And was the transition easy for you from in front and on stage to behind the camera?
It was easy for me, yeah, because I'd never achieved the success to say I knew anything different, right? So for me, learning and branching out was nice and simple. And then from college, I actually got into the business side of the business because I wanted to learn that. So I had interned in a distribution company. There weren't a lot of African Americans or ethnic people at all.
Right. I mean, that's also an issue. Ethnic cameramen or producers, there's not a lot behind the scenes either.
That's exactly right. So I wanted to learn those aspects and then did that and worked my way up in distribution, learned the business side of the business, and then I branched out into filmmaking.
Fantastic. And then you came back to Kansas, or the Midwest.
Then I came to the Midwest, that's right. That's right, exactly right. Because my wife had been out there in LA with me for 9 years.
Oh, no. Is that where you met?
No. Actually, interestingly enough, Kansas City, Kansas is a very small place. My family's from Kansas City, Kansas. Her family's from Kansas City, Kansas. So while I was out in LA, my dad said, hey, why don't you call up Rochelle, that's my wife's name. And we kind of developed a long distance relationship, and then we actually, met, reacquainted ourselves, and then she moved up to LA with me and lived there with me 9 years. We had 2 kids, and this was right before the housing bubble, so it was ridiculously expensive. It was $600,000 for like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, maybe 800 square feet. So it was not the market that we need to be in. So
to raise a family.
That's exactly right.
And see, that story is really interesting, but we got to talk about film. 'Cause I was like, oh, really? So you had a long distance relationship. But
Exactly.
we're going to go ahead and move forward. I visited your website, and when you go to the website, you're met with words like believe, create, achieve.
Right.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
The color is bright, but the message is also bright. What do those words mean specifically for your work?
Well, I believe as an artist, and I will refer to myself as an artist a lot, so that you have to create. I mean, you know, ex nihilo, you are creating something out of nothing, essentially. And you have to believe in what you create, you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in the message behind what you're creating, as well as then, you know, just moving forward with the essence. I believe in having a positive outlook. You know, we all get down, we all get negative, but I think overall you have to be an optimist and look at the world through those glasses versus everything is down, everything is negative.
Right.
Because that also will, you can feed into that and believe that, but your art will reflect that.
So how does optimism, we know that negativity can bring you down,
Right.
But how has optimism fueled your work and helped you be more productive?
Well, I think it certainly helps me be more productive just because of outlook. I mean, you just achieve. I mean, you just believe those things
Right.
that you're trying to create, right?
Right.
And I mean, it's actually, One by One Project is a great project that I have been involved with. It's an organization called One by One Project. It's an anti-slavery and prohibition, human trafficking
right.
against that organization. I've just been elected to the board.
Wow.
Accepted that, so that's based upon a great relationship. But that wouldn't have happened without a certain belief system that, you know, we need to change the world.
So let's go ahead and talk about that relationship. Was it initiated because they needed some documentary or commercial, and then you said, but you know, I'm really interested in this topic, in this issue. Is that how it happened? Tell me how that can be.
It was actually, if you believe in coincidence, you can say it was coincidental. If you believe in fate, then it's something.
It was serendipitous.
Or serendipitous for the $3 word, exactly. And I used the 10-cent word, but there you go. So it was serendipitous. What happened is I was going to one place. I was supposed to take a left. I took a right, and I saw, and this is in the grand view off of Main Street, I saw an
Oh,
organization.
you mean actually you're driving?
I was driving, supposed to go someplace, was supposed to take a left, didn't know it, took a right, you know, because I wasn't looking at the GPS correctly. So I saw a sign on the door that was talking about a documentary, Nefarious, and another organization. So and it was anti-human trafficking, anti-slavery. So I looked them up on the web in Google, you know, Kansas City anti-slavery organizations. I found One by One, contacted them, said, hey, I'm a filmmaker. This is a passion of mine, and it really tugs at my heartstrings to get this done. So what can I do for your organization? They contacted me back and said, hey, we have no money, so if you're looking for money, don't expect any, we can't really do anything. I said, don't worry about that, let's just figure out what we can do to make it happen. So we made it happen, you know.
We made it happen.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me.
Okay.
We made it happen because a lot of our viewers are trying to figure out how to make something happen.
Right.
You contacted them and they said, we have no money.
Right.
And you said, no, 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 no. What happened after that?
Well, what happened after that is we met, Rochelle and myself, the founders of Light Bears Entertainment, met with Andrea and Laura, who are the founders of One by One Project.
Okay, so
Yep.
let's back it up for a second.
Right.
Light Bears Entertainment
Yes.
is your
Company.
company.
That's correct.
It's a production company.
It is a production company,
With your wife?
but more than a production company.
Okay.
That's why it's called Light Bears Entertainment. Yes, with my wife Rochelle. We are co-founders of it.
Fantastic.
So I think production companies have one function, but I think entertainment companies have another function. So entertainment companies, I think are larger, if I can, than just mere. And I don't say that in any negative, in any
You're not
negative
saying
sense,
that
but,
lightly.
Right. But since I only have the 10-cent words, I'll say mere. That mere, and they just want to go. An entertainment company wants to be something larger, wants to actually create product that can be used in several different contexts, whereas a production company would just be manufacture the widget, so to speak. So my philosophy is, as an entertainment company, we can take on and do more than we could if we were just a production
like full
company.
service.
Right. We're full service as well as we're creating vehicles that can also be potential revenue streams. So like if you have a book, you can actually then exploit the book for different things, like characters within the book, for toys, all those kinds of things. So it's a larger vision than just a production company. So, but we met with One by One Project, had a couple of meetings, talked about some different ideas, some things that we could do to get the message out, and based upon the parameters that we had from time, cost, those kinds of things, we came up with the 2-minute promo that kind of highlights what they do and what they're trying to achieve here in Kansas City. Because one of the needs that they had was when they go speak to businessmen or they go speak to organizations to try and get donations, to try and partner with those organizations and let them know that they're there, they needed some way to encapsulate that, some way to visualize that. And a video does it well.
And it does do it very well. I watched the video, and it's very moving and shocking because the statistics.
It's incredible, isn't it? Kansas City being the 4th largest in the country, yeah.
Really, and St. Louis.
St. Louis, the 5th largest.
I never would have imagined. I mean, I don't mean to sound. Matter of fact, I won't even say it.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. You have Los Angeles because it's a port city. And the same method that meth was used to be trafficked through the mid-America, same thing with, unfortunately, human lives. Yeah, so. And
trafficking is about servitude? Is it about?
It's about all the things that are negative that you can think of. Primarily sexual trafficking, but as well as
we're talking about children.
We're talking about children. We're talking about the average age. You know, it used to be 16, now it's 13, and going down every year. I was speaking to an FBI agent. This is an aside. He said the youngest human victim was like 10 hours old. I mean, that's a recorded 10 hours.
Wow.
I mean, so it's just horrific the things that happen. So making a piece of art or an informative video about that will help the organization actually go out and talk to people. And because even though you hear it, you don't really realize it.
Right. So, that is incredible. And I'm glad that you're giving a voice and an image to that issue. How do you get from One by One to, you have this incredible commercial called Intervention. And it's for Stouffer's Bistro. And it's hilarious. But it's a commercial. So how do you get from something so rooted in passion and so rooted in social tragedy, if you will, to something like, you know,
like a commercial. Well, I think every artist has to eat. Right?
Yes.
You know, my kids like to eat, they like to wear clothes, they like to do all those kinds of things, right? I mean, you know, go to school, air conditioner, all those things, right? So you have to balance the art with the commerce. You have to be able to make a living. So whether that means being a director on a feature film that, you know, does X, Y, and Z or something, then you do those kinds of things. You know, and Kansas City is a smaller market, so you have to diversify and do a lot to be able to survive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead and take a break.
Okay.
When we get back, let's get more into how much of it is art and how much of it is money, because I do think that a lot of artists believe that in order to be a serious artist, you can't sell out. So do you mind getting into that? All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Jefferson Donald.
I always pay more than the minimum balance on my credit card.
I just opened an education IRA for my kids.
I never invest more money than I can lose.
How are you saving for your future? Find out more great ways to save for your future and choose to save.
And Beckwith happened to win the science fair back in 1955, I think it was. He won the National Science Fair in Kansas City.
Beckwith went to KU, graduated, and I tell people, if you want to know how to remember Sumner, when you get in your car, and if you don't put your seatbelt on, it will go ding ding. That's Beckwith's heart invention.
I'm not saying we were angels, but we tried to do the best we could and try to, you know, have top honors and be on the honor roll and National Honor Society, and, you know, have people who were athletes. Everybody just seemed to want to try to achieve.
Unfortunately, some didn't make it, and for a number of reasons. And I think that it's economic. Many of us were poor. and but that was never used as an excuse. So you had limited incomes, you had parents with limited education. So when you have to say what's the ingredient, it's a combination of all those things. The support from the church, I think, is important. Support of family is extremely important, and economics is very important, and it all relates to education. And with education, you give the ability to learn skills and to compete for jobs.
Thank you for staying with us at The Artistry. I'm Lonita Cook, and we are speaking with Jefferson Donald, entertainment artist. Is that a great title?
It's a new one. I haven't heard that one before, but I'll cop that one. You know,
That's
there
right.
You go.
And before we went for our break, we were just talking about the conflict between artistry and money.
Right.
And you said that you have to pursue the commerce as much as the art.
Right.
Would you say that?
That is my opinion. That's exactly what I said. That's right. That's right.
So what would you say to the artist who believes that in order to be a real artist, you can't sell out? And I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to assume it's if you're a painter trying to be in as many galleries as you can be. I'm not sure what selling out actually means, because like you said, everybody has to eat.
Well, and I think as an artist, see, I don't want to dictate what anyone else's philosophy is regarding their art. So if they want to be, quote unquote, a starving artist, then more power to them.
Right.
You know, really, more power to them. If they believe that gets them closer to their art form, then who am I to say, no, you have to go, quote unquote, sell out. For me and my family, it makes sense to actually also be commercially viable and have an income. So that is what works for us. The great thing about America is that we can all, as artists, do what we need to do and express ourselves however we want, whether that's being a sidewalk chalk artist to this big gallery person that, you know, you're making $1 million per painting or more. You know, that's every individual is allowed and empowered to make the decision for themselves.
Excellent.
Right. Yeah, so.
I like that. And because it does not, it erases the rift between the starving artist and the professional artist.
Right, and you know, exactly. You know, if you do a poetry reading every week and you don't get paid for it, but you love to do it, it's your passion, then who am I to say, well, no, now you have to actually publish your poems and put a video out and DVD series and try and commercialize. That may not be your thing. You may not even care about that. So.
Excellent.
There you go.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and talk about Light Bearers Entertainment.
Light Bearers Entertainment, yep.
We spoke about it a little bit in the first segment, but I want to go ahead and talk about it's a faith-based.
That's correct. Yes, it is a faith-based. That's right.
Company. Why? Well, talk to me about what that means first, because I don't want to assume it is what I think it means.
Right. Well, for Rochelle and myself, then it's basically having a company that embodies and lives out what our vision is for our lives and where we are at spiritually. So for us, that means that we have a Christian faith and that we have Christian values. So we're going to create entertainment vehicles and be involved as Light Bearers Entertainment in those projects that mirror that philosophy. So we won't be doing, like, you know, some exploitation flick under that moniker, you know. That's where it means for us. So we will do those projects that actually talk about community and social justice and those kinds of projects that are uplifting, may be a darker subject, but still have some positive outlook.
And be in service to
the community and to people in general. If one person's life is changed by looking at something that we have created or had a hand in creating, then we've done our job.
Right.
You know, so.
But you're saying that you're not opposed to creating non-faith-based material, just in a different venue.
Well, even as Light Bearers Entertainment, as an example, there are certain films that are automatically dubbed Christian because they are produced by Christians. Right? And those films have very small releases compared to, quote unquote, Hollywood fare. So they may make a lot of money or they may not make a lot of money, but because their message is what I would deem heavy-handed, it has a very limited, narrow base. So those people, quote unquote, outside the faith won't go see those films that are dubbed Christian. I'm much more interested in telling great stories that have awesome messages that are imbued or filled with those kinds of messages that I believe and my wife believes that are positive, that people will go see that aren't necessarily quote unquote Christian.
Right. So it follows Christian philosophy.
Well, it's stories. We're telling great stories.
Right. Telling great stories, but it's Christian without saying it's Christian. Because you know my friends Stephen and Mary Pruitt, they are also Christian, and they, you know, this is a conversation that we had, and he said basically the same thing, is that the base, the viewership is so limited, and they don't want to pigeonhole themselves by labeling their work Christian work. But I do wonder, does that alienate the Christian viewers? Or, I mean, are Christian viewers willing to?
It depends.
Right.
It depends. It's almost like one of the parallels about that is the same thing that they say about quote unquote the black audience or the Latino audience, which is very diverse in and of itself. I mean, if you say the Latino audience, you aren't really saying a whole lot, at least from an entertainment perspective, because you have Guatemalans, you have Nicaraguans, you have Mexicans, you have a whole Puerto Ricans, you have a whole bunch of different values that run the spectrum that are all lumped into Latino. Same thing with African Americans. You have blacks from the South, middle class blacks, poor blacks. You know, you have a whole spectrum of people that people just go in, well, that's the black group. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So Christians
are the same way.
There's a whole lot, especially in American Christianity, of denominations, faith, thoughts, opinions. So you can't really just say, well, this is a Christian film, and then expect all of the Christians to come out, because there's going to be certain things that you put in your film that certain groups of Christianity won't come out and see. Certain faiths, certain denominations won't come out and see. So if you put drinking in your film, there's certain denominations that won't come see your film, whereas others will. So, but you don't want to be quote unquote, as from my perspective, just labeled a Christian film, because then therefore those people who aren't Christian won't come see your film.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what is the purpose of your work?
Oh, that's a life
I mean,
question. That's heavy,
and we're talking about purpose-filled work.
Right.
And I think that a part of being an artist is you have to understand yourself, your passion, and be authentic.
Right.
And know your purpose before you can create what's really yours.
Yes.
Right. So I think that you found that, right?
Well, yeah, I would say that when I create a piece of work, that I want people's lives to be empowered and changed. I mean, I really, really want people to look at the material that I create and walk away changed, walk away with some kernel of something that says, wow, wow, I can be a better individual, I can actually do something. Like, even if you look at the banners on my website, they're all positive messaging, right? So there's so much negativity in the world anyway, and that doesn't mean that you have to have this Pollyanna kind of, you know, smile on your face that everything's hunky-dory and always going to be okay, because if you're struggling to eat, everything's not okay, right? If you're being trafficked, everything's not okay. If you're addicted to drugs or alcohol, everything's not okay. All those different things that are weighing us down. So it's not that I have this kind of blinders and everything's going to be happy, but the fact is there is, by changing your mindset, by changing your outlook, you can actually improve things. By changing your attitude, you can actually improve things for yourself. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. But if you say, well, if you say I can't or I can, you are right. It's that simple. If you say I can't do that, well, guess what? You can. If you say I can do that, you can do it, you can achieve it. So
excellent.
That's my philosophy.
And so basically your work is meant to challenge.
Challenge, inspire, uplift, bring real change.
Excellent.
Right.
Excellent. And let's see, you do have your bachelor's degree.
I have my bachelor's degree, that's right.
In theater.
That's correct.
And how much does education influence the direction of your work? Do you think that without your degree in theater, you'd be where you are?
No, I don't. I think one of the most useful things about my theater degree or my background in acting and directing and my college experience was the fact that I got to try, achieve, and do in a safe environment, right? Where you're paying tuition and where you can take those chances and fail, learn, stand back up, rise, fail again, learn. I mean, it's an entire collaborative environment that college, and you're learning from those professors that actually have an investment in you and that want to change your life for the better. They have a knowledge that they want to give you. So that's a great, I would not be where I am without my college experience. Without my mentorship and my college experience, absolutely.
So what do you think about pursuing art without a formal education?
Again, I think it depends on the individual. I mean, college is more than just the art experience. It's more than just the theater. I mean, I was exposed to philosophy. Obviously, you have to do your math and your English, all those kinds of things that I wouldn't have gotten that experience without attending college. It worked for me. It doesn't always work for everybody. You know, if you have a lot of life experience as an artist and you just want to do that, then more power to you. If that is the path that you need to go on and achieve your life's dream, then, you know, by all means do it. I'm not going to tell you you have to go to college. Although my kids, they have to go to college. They're my kids. So that's just the way it works, right?
Okay. And what is the most surprising thing that you've learned about the industry and about yourself in pursuing your art?
That is another big question. I would say the most surprising thing I learned about the industry is primarily it is fueled by this insane need to make money. I mean, it's much less, it really is about the bottom dollar.
Even in Kansas City?
Not in Kansas City. In Kansas City, and I'm talking about from a Hollywood perspective. So, you know, but it's the business, and that's what it is. I mean, everything is designed to, if you just look at the number of sequels, the number of new films, quote unquote, that are coming out, those kinds of things, it's about repetition and about creating the most, because you have to appeal to the largest amount of people so you can make the most dollars. That's that commerce part. But I think there's a lot of less art. There's more commerce and less art, whereas sometimes there's more art and less commerce. And I think you have to have a happy marriage of the two. Right. The thing I learned about myself is that I'm persistent and I'm going to keep on going until I stop, you know, until the heart stops beating. I just love creating. I love being immersed. I love talking film. I love being with filmmakers. You know, I just love that world.
Excellent. Well, we have come to the end of our interview. I want to thank you so much. It's been a joy talking with you.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it. I really do.
Oh, yeah. And we're Xanath Karaza is a poet, professor, and world traveler, and she releases her first full-length book of poems, Conjuro. Join her Sunday, October 21st at 7 p.m. at the Writer's Place for her Conjuro book release party. This is The Artistry, and I am your host, Lonita Cook. We'll see you next time. Stay art active.